Hi, Adya.
Hi.
Okay, well, here's my dilemma. For many years, I was a very passionate, intense yogi looking for the truth. And when I came to you, I had tremendous devotion. I don't know if you remember that, but... And that devotion was largely then directed from all the other people toward you. And that has gone. And now there's a kind of real peace and quiet. However, when you told that story, which I've heard before, the story about your first hearing those other yogis, those older yogis talk, and they're, you know. So there's a dilemma of being kind of in a place where, you know, the passion, the tremendous longing is quieter. And there's more acceptance, and there's more peace as a result of that. However, that dilemma of, well, you know, maybe I'm in the same place that they were at that time. When I hear you speak of that, I question.
Well, are you?
I'm more there than I was. Yes. Because just that feeling of, well, you know, hope, really, having given up hope. You know, like hoping for enlightenment, hoping for that future thing.
There's something in the future.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So it always comes down to what do you want?
Well, that's what I want.
What are you in it for?
That's what I want.
Yeah?
I want that complete union.
Okay. Do you want the truth, though?
Yes.
Okay. Because you don't get the union without the truth. Right. A lot of people want the union. Not many people want the truth.
Yes.
Right? Right?
I think I can honestly say.
That's why it's always important to find out, because they're both the same thing.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Yeah.
So what was your question?
Well, my question is finding myself in this place, and when I hear you tell that story, you know, you're my teacher. Yeah. So I'm asking you, you know, you said that place was a place of, I'll never do that. I'll never be there.
Right. Right.
You know, and
it's an authentic place.
Yes.
In other words, we can't sort of
manufacture
put it on as a strategy.
No.
In any way. That's why I asked, you know, what do you want? Because what's important is to tap into what you authentically really, 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 really want. From what I've seen, the thirst, the desire for truth is more like an illness, right? There's one thing in spirituality where I yearn for whatever it is. I yearn for union with my beloved. I yearn for total freedom and peace and liberation. I yearn for, that's one thing. That's kind of what I want, what I'm yearning for. And then there's this other thing that really is what has to do with truth and enlightenment. It's like catching a bad disease, right? It's not so much what I yearn for and I want. It's more like I have to. I'm impelled. I must find. You see, the only way to get rid of this dreadful disease of seeking is to come upon, however you would name it, come upon truth. They're kind of, can you sense the different attitudes in them?
Yes.
One is more like you're driven. And the other one is like you're striving, you're yearning or reaching out towards something that we think will really give us satisfaction. It's when we really feel like we're driven rather than driving.
Well, my drivenness was manifested through devotion.
Yeah, okay.
That was how it was manifested.
Right.
And so I through
that
years.
Kind of has changed.
That's changed as a result of really very directly working with you.
Yes, it's all my fault. Right.
I mean, it was a big thing for me.
I'm sure.
Big.
Sure. And it's everything is appropriate to where we are at the time. Right? That's why you felt it, because it was totally appropriate to where your own development was at the time. It's the nice thing about all this. Everything is appropriate given where we are, given where our consciousness is. And so, yes, it is, as that diminishes, it is also easy to kind of fall into a certain complacency.
Yeah.
Because there is a peace, there is a satisfaction to not be seeking so much.
Right.
It feels good, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's like, God, I feel really good not to be seeking.
Yes.
In that same way.
Yeah.
And has the fundamental dilemma that is fueling all of it been satisfied? Has that whole thing around enlightenment or awakening or union or whatever, has that happened?
No.
So that's when we get to recheck. Like, okay, right. I feel good.
Yeah.
And that's where I think what I saw in those people was they'd kind of gotten to that point where their seeking wasn't driving them, and yet what it's sort of started out to be about there really wasn't a resolution. It was more like a draw. A draw where nothing's really happened, but it's peaceful, more peaceful to be at a draw. And for me, that wasn't satisfactory. That's not what I got into this for. And when you see that, then you get the opportunity to re-ask the question, okay, now that I see this, is it good enough for me? Is it good enough for me to be at a draw? Because the answer to that can't come from the outside. Because I couldn't possibly tell someone, like, it's not good enough that it's a draw. Because for you it's good enough, then it's good enough.
Well, it's not good enough.
Okay. So now
it's very clear.
So now you know that.
Yes, I do know that.
Now you've already have gone too far to go back to the old way of seeking.
Right.
Right? Because that's not, that kind of played its course out.
Yes.
Ran out of steam, and here you are. And so you see, okay, now I find that really, although there may be a peace because I've stopped striving so much, I still maybe haven't found what this existence, this life is all about. And when you realize that, then there's a certain an energy inside. Then that in itself is what gives a certain clarity and focus. It takes you out of that sort of pleasant trance state of the draw. And then there's a new beginning. What is it, always and already? Really? What's really true? What's really true? Do you get the sense?
Yeah, I get the sense.
Now, the thing that's most important, see, over the years, my working with this has changed with people. Some of you may have noticed this, some of you may have not. But over the years, early on, for quite a while, the way I would work with this is say, okay, now you get to hear, now here's what to do. Okay, now ask yourself, what am I really? Now, do this, do this, do this, do this. And now it started to change into, that is not useful unless the attitude behind it is actually there. If the attitude isn't there, the rest of it is a game. So that's why I'm being with you, and we're investigating and finding out viscerally, kinesthetically feeling, is that attitude there? Is that real wanting the real, wanting what's true and what's real? And because once that catches fire, that's really the path. That's really the path. And without that, the rest is sort of an empty technique.
Right.
So I'm emphasizing that. The techniques you've heard,
Yeah.
you know those. You know that I would say, the ultimate thing here, at least the foundation, the first fundamental understanding is the realization of what you are. You know that. You've heard me talk in that way. And we've done a little bit of that in the earlier session we had as well. Once you have the attitude to go with it, however, it's potent. Then it's potent. Now you can have a potency that's hard to come at when we're in that sort of spirit, that draw, where we're just, okay, I'm not suffering, so I'm kind of satisfied.
Okay.
Anything else?
Well, I was going to say there's tremendous gratitude and tremendous awareness. Mm-hmm. So it's like but it feels like I don't want to push it.
Yeah.
Like, just so it's like almost resting in just grace will happen when it happens.
No.
No. Mm-mm. Okay.
No. Let me see how I can explain this. If your hair was on fire,
stop, drop, and roll.
There'd be a response. Would you just kind of wait and hope grace happens and it starts raining or something? Right? So we're dealing with something here of delicacy and something that's very hard to put into words. We're dealing with a way of engaging what's the most important thing to you in such a way that you do not succumb to the ego pursuing its ideal and its image, right?
Right.
And yet you also don't succumb to, it's grace, there's nothing I can do and it'll happen when it happens.
Yeah, okay.
You see what I mean?
That's it. That's the dilemma.
There's the two sides of duality right there.
Right.
And in our search, we most people have experienced some side of both.
Right.
Stopping in either one of those two experiences is not to point. It's actually to stall out. So when we're not seeking as an image, but yet we're not sitting and going, it will happen when it happens. I'm just going to rest in being. And yes, rest in being, that's sort of the backdrop. The underlying sense of rest in being itself, just in being. And as you're resting in being, also, it's a willingness to be really honest with yourself. Because when you rest in being, and you come back and you say, okay, I'm resting in being, is this what it's all about for me? Is this enough? Is this the ultimate truth? You see what I mean?
Yeah,
so that doesn't mean that you leave being and start rushing, but from resting in being, you keep your integrity. Your integrity. Not one that you borrow from me, because I don't have any sense that somebody should be doing this. I'm just here for those who they happen to be nutty enough to be interested in it. And you're always
so great.
You always check in with your integrity of what it's about. And then you're resting in being, that's sort of this foundation. Oh, wonderful. But then, just because we feel good doesn't mean we have to stop. We have to throw out our integrity. Okay. Have I finished the job here? Is it over with? Oh, it's not over with. now that I'm resting in being and also seeing that I haven't yet maybe found what this is all about, gotten to the very bottom of it. Oh, so now you're resting in being and you've got the energy of the question, right? Now you've got energy in the being. See, because it's very difficult to ask and even look at what's true when we're not in being. If we're all scattered, it's hard to ask the question in any useful way. But when we stop, and make room for that silence, when most people rest and stop and make room for silence, they feel better inside. Oh, I feel much better. And so they go to sleep. They forget that this just a minute ago, it was about finding out what was ultimately true. And they forget that because they feel good. But can we not lose our integrity when we start to feel good? Do you see what I mean? Can we feel really good but hold our integrity? What's really true? What am I really? Even when I'm feeling good, what am I? You see how it's now still alive?
Yes.
How it stays alive? Then you haven't lost your integrity with what's really important for you. And that's the subtlety of it. That's the balance. It's like seeking without seeking.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you get the feel?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Never forget. Enjoy yourself.
Okay. I usually don't.
Yeah. This stuff doesn't need to be dreadful. It might be, but